The health minister seeking to clarify honorarium payouts, the Bahamas Public Services president seeking an audience with the prime minister, and the country recording another homicide. Good evening, everyone. I'm Lissy Bastian with your JCN News. It's Tuesday, August 17th. It's good having you with us. With ongoing controversy and much discussion regarding the honorarium payouts or non-payouts to frontline and non-frontline workers, Health Minister Renwood Wells seeking to clarify reports making its rounds on social media surrounding those payments to his driver and personal assistant. This as public health care facilities on New Providence and Grand Bahama continue to be challenged with staff shortages. Our Leah Cooper has the details.
In a video statement issued yesterday, Health Minister Renwood Wells confirmed that his driver and personal assistant received an honorarium payment for working during the pandemic. This follows 6 consecutive days of healthcare workers staging a sick-out surrounding those same payments. The minister's explanation also comes off the heels of social media reports claiming that the 2 workers were paid $5,000 each while he received a payment of $10,000. To that, Mr. Wells says this.
Firstly, I advised the general public that I did not receive an honorarium payment. Once again, I advised that I did not receive an honorarium payment. Further, my driver and personal assistant did not receive an honorarium payment of $5,000 issued to the frontline doctors as purported by social media reports. In fact, they received the same minimum honorarium payment of some $1,158.40 issued to non-frontline workers. However, today I have asked both my driver and personal assistant to return the $1,158.40 that was disbursed to them from the Bahamas government.
You see, during his contribution to the 2021-2022 budget debate, Mr. Wells advised the nation that this administration approved $1,040,600 in honorarium and death benefits to be paid out. He says $400,000 was allocated as death benefits to the legal representatives of the 4 healthcare workers that passed away in the line of duty from COVID-19, and $640,600 to 143 frontline healthcare workers who stepped forward initially during the first wave of COVID-19. For those who later joined the fight, the government approved an additional $3 million in honorarium in the 2021-2022 budget that will be paid out to approximately 1,700 healthcare workers. The health minister adds, though, that both his driver and assistant have agreed and returned the amount given to them.
My brothers and sisters, I would also like to advise that I made no recommendations as to who should receive an honorarium payment. The names of all persons to receive an honorarium was recommended by a select committee within the Ministry of Health. This committee was to make the decisions based on the criteria approved by Cabinet for those who willingly stepped forward during the period the 19th of March to the 18th of June, 2020.
He also noted that yesterday morning, the government distributed $200,000 in death benefit to families of Nurse Sherilyn Charlton Bain and Mrs. Marion Burrows McKinney as a tribute to the dedication and hard work rendered to the Ministry of Health and to assist the family to meet their needs because of the lost income of their loved one. Mr. Wells says that once all legal requirements have been satisfied, the government in the coming weeks will issue 2 additional checks to the remaining 2 families. Also commencing the 4th of August, some 1,732 employees began to receive their payouts. That's 308 doctors, 644 nurses, 111 emergency medical services staff, and 669 non-clinical staff. He says he intends to take the list of those nominated to receive and yet to receive an honorarium to Cabinet and the Prime Minister to review to ensure that Cabinet's intent has been upheld and met as directed. Reporting for Jcn News, I'm Leah Cooper.
Another day of delayed services in the public health facilities as allied healthcare workers have called out sick 6 days in a row. The Public Hospitals Authority noting again that services have been impacted at the Princess Margaret Hospital, the Grand Bahama Health Services, and at Sandlands Rehabilitation Center, that institution's second day. Some services resumed while others continue to be suspended. PMH is experiencing limited staffing in the radiology, diagnostic, laboratory services, laundry, and food services departments, resulting in delays in services. Morgue continues services with the release of remains and identification of remains. Laboratory services at Agape Clinic, 4th Terrace, Centerville, continue to be suspended until further notice. GBHS continues to experience some instances of staff shortages. The pharmacy at the 8 Mile Rock Clinic is facilitating emergencies only. Pharmacies at Hawksbill Clinic and Pierce Plaza are closed. The pharmacy at the Freeport Community Clinic continues to facilitate inpatients, children, and emergencies only. Now, the Rand Memorial Hospital's laboratory service has resumed full operations. Blood donations have also resumed. Housekeeping is still impacted, and contingencies are in place for service. Bahamas Public Services Union President Kingsley Ferguson calling for an audience with the Prime Minister or the Minister of Health to discuss the most recent hot-button topic, and that's honorariums intended for healthcare workers who worked throughout the course of the pandemic in the country. In an interview with Jcn News on Monday, Mr. Ferguson said all of his members entitled did not receive their COVID-19 honorariums from the government.
My only concern is people who weren't given an honorarium. That scenario needs to be addressed. That's basically the only concern I have right now. And I'm hopeful that we can get an audience to get that sorted. I would ask them to please give us an audience so that the concerns of the persons who were a part of the COVID-19 response is addressed like the others who they gave consideration to.
The government allocated some $3 million for the honorariums. In July, Health Minister Renwood Wells announced that frontline workers who were promised those payments would receive them. The payments range from $1,000 to $5,000. Mr. Ferguson contends that the government is not labor-friendly. Meantime, here's what he had to say about the recent rise in the COVID-19 cases.
We are very concerned of the rising numbers in COVID cases, and they have indeed expressed concern in that regard. And that is one of the reasons that the persons feel entitled to compensation being a part of the COVID-19 response team.
The Bahamas has recorded 1,784 additional COVID-19 cases so far this month. Well, as the reopening of schools for the 2021 fall semester comes closer and closer, President of the Bahamas Union of Teachers, Belinda Wilson, threatening that teachers will take industrial action should schools not be reopened safely and according to safety protocols. In an audio press statement sent via WhatsApp, President Wilson says that they have not yet received a written plan for the reopening of schools and gave these instructions to teachers.
All teachers, when you report to school and the schools are not prepared, do not enter the classrooms and remain outside socially distanced. The shop stewards will have the union's COVID-19 health and safety checklist that they will meet with the principal. They will go through the checklist Then they will meet with you as teachers to make sure that you are satisfied that the safety protocols are implemented before school begins.
On Monday, Education Minister Jeffrey Lloyd announced that schools will open on time. That is Monday, August 30th. Just before the weekly cabinet meeting on Tuesday, reporters were able to speak with the minister to get his response to the threats. He contends that last year, the ministry, along with its stakeholders, finalized a document to determine the eventuality in any circumstances as to how schools would be open.
The very same prescriptions that have been given to us by the health, that you have to maintain social distance, wear a mask, have to 7 to 12 feet, square feet spacing between students, those would obtain in the upcoming school year. So there's really nothing new about how we are going to conduct the school year 21-22. Now, in terms of repairs, those repairs are ongoing, and we fully expect that all schools will be ready, repairs will be completed in time for the August 30th presentation start of the school year.
Minister Lloyd contends that he is not concerned about the threats of industrial action. Meantime, the Education Minister seeking to clarify those comments made to reporters on Monday surrounding potentially mandatory COVID vaccines for eligible children.
Let me say firstly, I apologize to whomever may have been offended or may have misunderstood the position of the government with regard to vaccines. No person in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas is required to have a COVID-19 vaccination. Nobody. No adult, no child, nobody.
Now, yesterday, as school prepares to open within a matter of weeks, the minister recommended that all parents between the ages of 12 and 17 register them for the Pfizer vaccine. The country received a shipment of over 100,000 doses of Pfizer last week, which allows school-aged children between the ages of 12 and 17 to become vaccinated. Pfizer is the only vaccine available in the country that's safe for that age range. You're watching JCN News. Stay with us.